Wildcat fans, and welcome back to another Coaches Show here on the interwebs. So glad you decided to join us. Hope you enjoyed all the fall coaches that we got to talk to as now we transition into some winter and eventually spring. I'm Brad Welburn as always, and as you can see here to my left, joined today by our men's basketball coach for the very first Coaches Show with head coach Reni Mason, as we kind of set the table for the season, which starts this week, and maybe get a little insight into how the team is prepared and getting ready for what's to come this year and essentially this week too, because we start the season on Thursday night. So, Coach, first of all, thanks for joining us. So glad to have you here. I guess let's first get a little insight into how the team is prepared throughout the off season. Of course, we talked at the end of last year, hoping to kind of use the momentum of those last 6 or so games where we went on that awesome run and just missed out on the tournament by a game to kind of propel ourselves into the off season and preparation. So how has that kind of transitioned into how you prepare for this year?
I think it's allowed us to have a point of reference of what needs to happen. We've talked all preseason long about every game matters. As you stated, we missed the playoffs by one game a year ago. We don't want to allow that to happen. And so we're excited. The first 3 weeks of practice have been tremendous. Our recruiting class has been everything we've expected it to be so far. Our returners have really shown great leadership in how they've gone about their business. And so we're just excited to get going this Thursday night.
Talk about the class a little bit. Obviously, you don't really replace a guy like a Raheem Regis or a Steve Evans. You just kind of try to find somebody to fill those shoes, and hopefully eventually they'll be able to match what those kind of guys have contributed to the program.
Entering our third year, I can't imagine a Division III team in the country losing what we've lost in 2 years. Yeah. 2 years ago, you lose All-American A.J. Gaines. A year ago, we lose Raheem Regis, arguably one of the toughest players to ever play here in Steve Evans. But we think we've addressed some of those needs. We've recruited 6'8", Devon Washington out of Houston, Texas. We've got a couple high school state champions that we've recruited here, in Diallo Small and Rashad Powell. But we've got some returners, Travis Schultz, Jelly. Yeah. I think it's important that we find a way to put this together. I've told our assistant coaches that all we can do is mess this up. We've got great talent in our stable right now, and we're excited about trying to put it together, and we think we're poised to have a good year.
Yeah, talk about those guys you mentioned there, Jelly, and you got Tim Stokes, kind of under the radar kind of guy who just really runs the team very well. And then you got Travis and guys like De'Aaron Davis that are expecting a big year too.
You talk about Tim Stokes. I can't say enough about him. If you don't know Tim, you won't know Tim because he doesn't talk a whole lot, yeah. But he literally drives us. He is the epitome of a lead guard. He's been that way all of his life, and I can't imagine coaching a basketball team without a guy like him. De'Aaron Davis, he's our motor. He makes things go for us. He's the guy that gets us prepared for practice. He's the guy that gets us prepared in games. He's the guy that you can see on the bus talking to the younger guys, helping them understand what it takes not only on the floor but off the floor. And so I think we've got great chemistry right now. Once again, it's incumbent upon us as coaches to put this team in positions to be successful.
Yeah, and a guy we haven't really talked a lot about just because he hasn't been able to do a lot of team stuff yet. But you talked about Jelly and Tim and all these other guys and the new guys. But in the second half of the year, you're going to get to add Taylon Grogan to that mix as well.
Probably one of the better players in our league. Taylon had some business he needed to take care of first semester. We're excited for him. He's done everything we've asked of him in the fall and then some. He has matured a lot. We're excited about adding him to the mix. And I don't think there's a real big understanding of how good he really is yet. Yeah. He has a chance to be real special. But he has really matured over the course of the last 2 or 3 months.
Yep. All right, let's move into a little bit about this season coming up. You guys just coming off fresh off a long trip to El Paso last week, where you played UTEP in your first real game kind of experience, exhibition there, and then you'll play Lafayette as well before opening up on Thursday night with sort of a neutral site game against a ASC opponent that won't be an ASC game, Sul Ross State over in Marshall. So at least through those first couple games there, what are you looking for to gain as you prepare for Thursday?
I told our guys in practice this morning that the first 2 exhibition games are for us to develop chemistry, for us to see what we're capable of doing, the things that we need to work on, the things we need to improve upon. But make no mistake about it, Thursday night is the night that we've targeted on our schedule. Sul Ross is one of the better teams in our league. They'll compete on their side for the championship. It's a good statement game for us early in the year. It's important that we get as many Division III games as we can in order to try to get an at-large bid in the NC2A tournament. It's important that we go and play well on this neutral site. And so we're excited. I think we have a game plan that's going to fit us well in that game, but it should be a tough game over in Marshall, Texas on Thursday night.
Yeah. So you play that game on Thursday, and then you have really essentially almost a week and a half off. Obviously, you'd be practicing during Thanksgiving and that sort of stuff, but then you open up with Centenary on the 27th. Here, another difficult, tough game.
We thought it was important that we open up on Thursday and then go back to practice. We think it's important that we prepare for what's coming. Not only is the Centenary game on the 27th, but we open conference play that week against 2 contenders again. And so our schedule does not lend itself to a night off. We've got to be prepared every night because our schedule is very challenging. We made it that way, and we have an expectation of our young men being able to meet the challenge each and every night.
Yeah. All right, well, there you have it, folks. Thursday night, the guys will play against Sul Ross and Marshall, and then mark your calendars right now. That last week of November, you got Centenary at home on Monday night. You got McMurray at Rapides Coliseum on Thursday night, and then two-time defending ASC champion Hardin-Simmons on Saturday afternoon at Rapides. So it's going to be a fun month as we kind of find out what LC men's basketball is going to be all about this year. Coach, very excited about these shows. Going to be a fun season. Looking forward to it for sure. Be sure to check the website lcwildcats.net for the full schedule, rosters, results, everything you need to know. They're on Twitter at LC_MBSK, and you can follow them and find out all the things that are happening with LC basketball. So, Coach Mason, always a pleasure. Appreciate you. I'm Brad Welburn. We will see you next time.